Hello, this is Ching from Heights of Wellness. It's actually in my house right now. I'm going to record the purposeful movement, the third focus. It's all about our feet, so we call it happy feet. And so the question is you feel happy, right? Feet we use all the time. Just wake up first thing in the morning, put your foot down. We put all this body weight right on it. So sometimes it would be easier if you warm up a little bit before you put on. And there's a lot of foot problem too. People wearing orthotic, right, to support it, and they're quite expensive too. Or plantar fasciitis, right? I think a lot of us have experienced that. I can teach you how to fix them too, but the most important thing is how to maintain and maintenance your feet. Okay. First of all, let's understand our feet, right? So here we go. We're going to do this exercise, sit on the chair or on the floor. I will demonstrate later. Go to the floor, sometimes it's hard for everybody. If the hamstrings tight, you can sit with the legs straight. So there's three ways. On the floor, on the chair, a hard chair, not on the couch, because what? You will sunk right in. If you don't have a good posture, you can't breathe. If you can't breathe, you're not getting the circulation well, and you're not, right, improving anything you want to get improve of, right? So nice and tall. So I can focus and work on my toes, sitting here, extend leg. So this is the easiest way. The other one, you can put your foot on your coffee table. Hope your coffee table is not high, right? Coffee table usually lower. Or find another chair or bench, a small bench you put on. So I can move my feet this way. So this is the second challenge one. The most challenging one is actually on the floor. I'll show you. So I can sit on the floor because my hamstrings are flexible, and I can, my torso, right, skeletal muscle, and it's holding me upright. So all that you're gonna learn, you're gonna get better and better. So sooner or later, someday you can sit on the floor, do all this, because there's a lot of stretching you're going to learn in the beautiful, purposeful stretching. So from here, and sometimes we call it active isolate stretching. Okay, so if you do a lot of walking or running, you must stretch out so you can have a lighter leg for the next day to run, and prevent lots of injuries and preserve your joint, your knees, right, and your hip socket, definitely your lower back. Okay, so now your foot. Okay, so I'll put my foot up here. You have an ankle, right? We all have an ankle. I'm just put one first. So you have ankle B, tibia. Okay, this flat bone right here, the shin bone, connects to the medial ankle bone, and the fibula goes to the outside. So that's a joint. So that joint movement we call it, this is called plantar flexion. This is called dorsal flexion. This is the dorsal part of your foot. Just think if you go swim, you wear the flippers, right? That's your dorsal, like right, swim with it. So dorsal flexion is actually toes point towards you. Plantar flexion, that's happening in the ankle away. All the movement, let me pull my pants up a little. All the movement goes to your foot, connect to your leg. So there's beautiful muscle you can see it pop up. That's your tibialis anterior. Since you hear the anterior, there's a tibialis posterior. That I contract, and the gastra, right, soleus, and that make my ankle straight. Okay, you see the straight, but we still call it plantar flexion because when you hear, you put your foot down, you plant it on the floor. So the bottom of your feet, when we point, right, most of the time people say point is a more common name. That's plantar flexion, is dorsiflex. Okay, so that's your ankle. There's another two movement you can do. It's called everting and inverting. Everting is away from the midline, inverting is too. So you think about coconut tree, right? You know how people climb the coconut tree? They're using the arch, both foot, and climb up, kind of like a monkey. And when I was in school in Taiwan, grade school, we have all this bamboo pole. So our playground is slightly different. We got this tall bamboo pole. We have to learn how to pull ourselves all the way up, touch and slide down, kind of like a fireman, right? So the arch is kind of important. We don't use it anymore. We really don't use much of our feet except walking and running. So it's a repetitive movement. They get really tired. There's all this muscle here and on your foot, especially the bottom of your feet, right? Instead of getting orthotic or nice padding, you should build a padding, right? It's free. That's your muscles. So get them nice and juicy. Another thing is a nice massage of your feet. If you stand for a long time, especially if you're a professor or teacher, bank teller, things you need to walk around, waitress, right? And that's really tough. So you're on upright all the time. So you want to take good care of yourself. The things, easy things to self-massage. Okay, so now that's the ankle. So if I connect those four movements together, so you can see everting, plantar flexion, everting, dorsiflex. Everting, plantar flexion, everting. So that's the circle of your ankle. Of course, you can reverse that direction, right? So we'll go inverting, like climbing the tree, plantar flexion, everting, dorsi. But you don't want to walk like this, right? You don't want your ankle drop in and walk in the outside your foot because you're going to step on yourself. So a lot of time when children have that, the doctor tend to start correcting very young age to go into back in the parallel position. So if I'm facing you, you will see. We talk about this on the posture. Remember the very first focus? We want the knee, ankle kind of lined up in neutral. I'm sitting right now, but you can see my toes point forward. You don't want that. You don't want this. You want that 3 points, right? If you put it down. So those are the movement of the ankle. If I connect together, see? If I connect together, I have this nice, your feet says, oh, thank you. I can do the other one. Right? The left foot was a little jealous, says, oh, come on, move me too. So here we go. So that's your circle, okay, with that four movement. And then what else? You definitely have the arch. The arch, it consists of 5 bones here. The arch, remember we talked about standing posture too? It's a really nice weight bearing, so we'll make them stronger, right? So you want to make them strong. Don't overuse them, okay? So then next one, it's a part is metatarsal, this long bone. In my hands, you have a 2, okay? In the wrist, you have 8 carpals, kind of same design, but slightly different look, but really similar long. So that's why sometimes people say, oh, your toes look like your finger is very long. So that you call metatarsals, okay? 5 of them. Each one goes go to 4 toes. And then, of course, you have toes. You can also see those tendon right here. This tendon, the 4, okay, there are 4 tendons connect to those 4 toes. It's actually come from one muscle right under the tibialis anterior. The tibialis anterior, if I pop it for you, you can see the tendon connects right to the arch. So I contract, can you see that tendon pops? That gives me everting. The peroneal longus goes all the way out, it gives me the eversion. And that 2 muscle become tendon right under your foot. So it's kind of like a stir up, so kind of moving, right? So if you're walking on the grass, or if you go to Europe, you're walking on the cobblestone, those are really good. The problem, we have so many joint problems with the knee and the hip and your lower back, because everything, a lot of street is paved, right, straight. That's really for the car, so they can ride smoothly. For us, we have all different muscles, so we got what happened, isolate, just walking same way, without challenging all this muscle on the legs, okay? So we start getting in trouble because you're just doing one movement all the time, like a hammer all day long. It's not good because there's supination, pronation, medial, rotate, lateral. There are lots of movement because there's muscle there to do the job. So we want to be nice and be fair to all of them. So it's really important for you to practice with this first, especially if you want to run, biking, and walking for a long time, okay? So now, so you got ankle, you have your arch, metatarsal, and toes. So that 4 tendon we just talked about is actually one muscle called a extensor. I extend my toes. My toe goes out, extend. A lot of times people will think that's flex, which is okay. but I have to use an anatomical terminology. It just follows, so it's easy talking to the doctor too. And so from here, or people with anatomy, background, physiology. So now that's called extend. My toe extend is coming to you extend. If you can remember, you say, I extend my finger. See that? Extend the finger. Those tendons here too. We will talk about hands, another focus. So that's the extend. So you see, I extend my finger, toes, right? Now I will flex my finger and flex toes. So if you look at your hands and your toe, you can understand a little better with that kind of strange terminology, right? Because we don't hear it often. So that's extensor. So we'll call it extensor. It's right inside the tibialis anterior. And extensor digitorum longus, okay? It's one, is right here. I can see that tendon, then start split into 4, branching out to connect to those toes. Then now, what about the big tendon? What about the big tendon on the toes right here? The big toe, right? That's extensor hallus longus. So hallus, go for the Hail Caesar, right? So hallus. So a big toe gets one nice big tendon, and the muscle come up to inside more, okay? So your muscle has layers, the deepest and then a little more superficial and goes, right? Now back, there's a lot of beautiful muscle. We'll call it gastra and soleus, and deep inside gastrosoleus, those are 2 calf muscles. You have tibialis posterior. I'm sorry, there's a lot of anatomy to using everything. That's why I call it purposeful movement. If you want to learn the purpose and reason why we have it, it's designed for us to use. So you have to get to know your buddy or your friends. Okay, so now if I point, right, can you see my gastra gets contract, right? I have a really big gastra from dancing, so contract. And now I'm stretching. Now contract here to stretch. Now contract here to stretch the front. So that's equal opposite reaction goes on. And now if I get my toes point, okay, I'll show you the other way too. If I get my toes, because I want to show you see the bottom. So that's tibialis posterior, go to the arch my foot. Okay, so that made my ankle straight first, tibialis posterior plus gastra and soleus. And then you have flexor digitorum longus and flexor hallus longus. You have the extensor, you have flexor. So remember, this is flex. So we don't do flexing now because every time you walk, you push. So your toes goes to extend all the time. If you run for a long time, you extend. So a little by little, people start having hammer toes. I don't quite have hammer toes, like everything's hammering up the joint and the shoes, right? So the shoes keep pushing the toes in, so you start form your feet, kind of like little, prolonged torture, right, throughout the years. So everybody take your shoes off. They say, oh, I have a really not so good looking feet. It's okay. Dancer, we have the worst one. And I have a huge bunion. So that's why I really want to focus my feet, because it used to hurt so bad, my bunion on both feet. It doesn't anymore. And I didn't have surgery because I worked it out, because I believe my body can recover if I treat them the right way. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to be here. I'm going to extend my leg, ankle. So that's our plantar flexion. I point my toes to flex my toes. So extends going up like your finger again, and flex your toes. You pick up a pencil. You're going to flex your toe, you pick up a pencil. Again, flex your toe, pick up a pencil. You can do this easily by sitting your legs right under you, and you can do actually both foot too, right? Let's just focus one first, because sometimes a little difficult. So I pick up a pencil, and right here I kind of tell my client, you will pick up a confetti, okay? So the confetti stuck on the floor. You're gonna work hard to bring them up, so you can feel sometimes you get cramp, because those foot doesn't have power, doesn't have strength. So you need to strengthen them, so become like the muscle, the bottom you feed the muscle, become juicy, right? If it's juicy and healthy, full of blood circulation, you don't need to buy a padding or orthotic, right? Orthotic is actually gonna atrophy your feet more because you're not using it. That's another torture. So from here, so doesn't matter you have flat foot, the arch is too high or just right, doesn't matter. It's the muscle to support them. So you have to understand how to use it first. So you can do this now. Guess what? You can do everting, pick up the confetti and go put it the other pile. So I'm gonna switching, I'm gonna make a new pile over here. So you can do it like, 8 times, 10 times, whatever, watching TV and or very boring meeting. Just don't tell your boss I told you. And from under the desk, take your shoes off and release, right? Otherwise they just stay there. It's a torture, right? You remember? Timeout for kids is torture. It's like, I can't, we need to move, we need to think, we need to do something. So here you go. So I always suggest some of my CEOs and have a break every half hour. Everybody can move around, shake it out, getting up, walking out, sit down again. Now your brain is right, sharp. You can figure out, because you might have meeting, figure problems out, right? And structure, so that's what you do, the simplest way. Of course, you do the other side. You pick up a confetti and moving all the way. I'm going to sit down to do the whole thing for you, just to recap a little bit, because it's easy. You can see my both foot moving. So, but you have option. You can sit here. If it's really hard for you, you're just starting out, you just do it on the chair, leg straight. Then you go the other leg. Don't do both because you might fall off. So, or you can put it up a little higher on the coffee table, right? You can work on one leg at a time, okay? Don't do both, because sometimes it's so tight, the hamstring is so tight. If you put both up, you actually become slouching. But because I'm not, that's why I'm a teacher, sorry. So we're gonna sit on the floor. I'm gonna show you, it's easier to see everything. So here we go. I'm on the floor, my legs same with my hip, engage my first responder, so I have all this neutral, right? The postural muscles hold my body upright. If this is hard to sit against your couch, or your bed, if you have, has some horse or against the wall, so your body can be held upright with a little support. Okay, here we go. The whole picture now, ankle and the toes. Now you extend your toes, remember all that extensors, and tibialis anterior and the fibulis, okay? And bottom is your gastra, soleus, and tibialis posterior, and the flexor, digitorum, longus, and hallux. So the tibialis posterior and the flexor, digitorum, longus, and hallux were actually short name. I didn't make it up because I learned it in this class. It's called Tom, Dick, and Harry. So much easier to say. So we're using the Tom, Dick, and Harry. Those 3 muscles, that's compartment muscles. Have you heard of compartment syndrome? It's really, really, really hard to fix. People go for surgery for. But if you take good care, if you run, you love to run. Everybody loves to run, especially when you're young. People always tell you to go for running, but they forgot to tell you how to take care of your feet and how to stretch it out so you can run better tomorrow, right? You have to recover. So here we go. And flexed. So I'm gonna feel like I'm pick up a pencil, flex. So I'm really working on the tibialis, right? Posterior, Tom, Dick, and Harry. And toes, 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 toes. So I'm gonna strengthen the bottom of my feet. Remember, we want them juicy, circulation, plump, right? And so that's it. Now you do everting, plantar flexion, inverting, again, circle. So you connect those 4 movements, right? And connecting all 4 movements and reverse 4 movements and the 4, again, and again. Now ready? I'm gonna add a flexor. So this is a long distance talk. So if it doesn't listen to it, it's okay. You just keep talking to, right? It's you're educating them. I don't like to say you're training them because we're not monkey. We need to be educated. I like that word better. That's why I keep introducing myself. I'm the wellness educator. You go to school the first 5 years or first 6, it depends where you are. And we call it education. Now reverse. your college, your education. And that's mean your mind had to really comes in. And so good. So you're gonna get at your legs so healthy, right? So what happened is you don't have thrombosis, which is a blood clot. And I will show you later on, there's other things we start really strengthening and stretching. Right now, I'm just teaching purposeful movement right now. What movement you have, all those terminology, right? Today you learn dorsal flexion, plantar flexion, everting, inverting. Remember climbing the tree or bamboo pole? And then you learn your toes can extend, your toes can flex, just like the hands, right? And you can combine them together. So you learn the ABC, then you make the ABC into a word, right? And then you make it into a phrase. So that's our feet. You want your feet to be happy, and you can massage them. You can also, the best way to massage, besides you can use your own hands, right? You can stretch each toes. They're really, because they're in the shoes all the time, right? So it's really hard for them. We need to have style, right? Everything we do is style. The clothes need to have style, depends where you work. And shoes too, you need to dress shoes. They're all pointing. It's unbelievable what we do to our feet, right? So free them up. So as soon as you come home, shoes off. You have an area, shoes off, right? You don't want the dirt coming in the house, so the shoes is off. This is Japanese, Chinese home. I grew up, and walk around barefoot. Just don't have people tell you don't walk around barefoot. Why not? It's designed to walk, right? So you don't want them atrophy. You don't want anything atrophy. You definitely don't want your brain cell atrophy. So nothing you have going to disappear or become lazy. Not good, okay? So anyway, I'm just sharing one quick story and how important your feet and how telling your feet is. So someone sent me this wonderful story from China Got Talent, right? This young man, he came on the stage. You can tell, even he's dressed up with suit, you can tell it's kind of empty. He doesn't have two arms. So the judge is like, oh, young man, what would you like to do? They say, I want to play the piano for you guys. They're like, how? So the story comes around, right? You always do the background story. So he lost both arms after typhoon. He went to touch the high voltage wire. The mommy said, don't touch them, don't touch them. You know, when you're kids, you kind of curious. He lost both his arms, very sad. His mother did not make him feel victim. It's just, you're gonna learn how to eat, how to wash yourself, everything, right? So he's saying, I want to play piano, so what am I gonna do now? He thought, I have my toes. He played the piano. You should see the excerpt of how he did it. He got a lot of cramps, all this stuff. But if you have a will, right, a passion, you make it happen. So now, no excuse. My mother always tell me that. And we have a young boy in Taiwan. When I was growing up, I kind of complain things like all other kids does too. My mother always saved this newspaper. This young man, he born without arm. He learned to write calligraphy with his foot. My mother says, so what would you like to complain? Right? So anyway, so no complaint. Anytime you have problem, you have pain. Pain is a messenger to tell you something is wrong. You need to focus. How else can I tell you? I don't think anybody will say my body is so happy all the time. Yes, sure. And so you're gonna focus on and take care of the pain, do the right way. So purposeful movement are so important to learn. It's the foundation that you may have missed before you start doing your marathon, right? Yes, you have a will too, you ran. But just be careful because we're running on the tar, not soft surface. So we're gonna show you a lot of things. Next one is teaching you how to use your foot and leg together, a lot of balancing, walking, and happy running too, okay? Take good care. Thank you for your attention. I'll see you in the next focus. and have a great day. Take care.